Okay, so I decided to do a new one because I don't know, my thing wasn't working on the other one. This is my new live stream for tonight for the John Lewis's race in Georgia. Still hasn't moved. It's been over 20 minutes. Still at 3,168 for Kwanzaa Hall, who's ahead of Robert Franklin, who has like about 300 votes less than him. But I guess we'll see what happens as the night goes on. I'm going to guess personally what's going to happen is it's going to be between the two of them all night. But we'll see what happens. So, yeah, it's still stuck. That number. I wonder, what's the election people saying about it? It's been a while now since it happened. Let's see. What does the New York Times say? Do they say something different? They say yes. No, they're the same thing. Okay. No precincts in, right? Yep. Okay, so the counties in for him so far, less than 1%, are Fulton County and Clayton County. And that's about it. Nothing in Calab County yet. Huh. Strange. So I'll probably stay on doing this race, probably till the debates come on. And I'll probably put him on the background then. Or maybe I'll put him on the background while we're waiting for the results to come in online. The debate between Biden and Trump. It will be interesting. I think I can look for a live stream of someone for a filter. Let's see. Found it earlier today. I forgot which channel it was on though. Oh, here it is, The Sun. That's who it's by. The Sun. I mean, they're okay, I guess. Yeah, I'll use CBS. That might be less biased. This is the link if anyone wants to watch it. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some ravioli and sausage. You know, I have a better idea. I'm going to face it towards my TV and watch it that way. I've been thinking about that for the last little bit because just be easier at this point. All right. Well, just so my mom can have room for her stuff tonight. All right. All right. I'm going to try to turn this towards the TV. All right, so I'm going to do this without the headphones in. All right. So now, the TV's on. I don't even know what channel it's on. Wait a minute. I didn't know why it was on there. Probably my mom's boyfriend put it on that. Sometimes comes in here. CNN. Really? CNN. It is. Did anyone see it? I hope so. Okay, good. I can see it too.
You taught me how to change my habits a little by little.
They say it's based on a cognitive behavioral approach. I just say it works.
Visit Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
And you're looking at the debate stage. We're just about 10 minutes away from the start of the debate. In moments, we expect First Lady Melania Trump and Vice President Biden's wife, Dr. Jill Biden, to be coming into the room, and they will be seated. Chris Wallace, of course, is the moderator tonight. Both candidates will come out. They will not shake hands per the regulations COVID-19. Although in past debates, that has also not occurred. In the second debate that he did not shake hands with Hillary Clinton given the tensions. Just in the last couple of minutes now, David, for folks who are tuning in, what are the kind of the key flags you're going to be looking for?
Well, I think the one that's been mentioned around the table, which is how does Biden navigate Trump's antics and his if he says something that's untrue, what does he do? He says something provocative and personal, how does he handle it and still maintain that kind of presidential demeanor and talk to the country about the future that he envisions and the change that he would bring?
Trump is going to be relentlessly asymmetrical. He's going to attack from every angle. And the question is, how does Biden handle that? How does he pivot from these insults and attacks to what he wants to talk about how he would lead the country in the future and not go down those rabbit holes that David was talking about before and get locked into you're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar kind of debate.
Tonight, showman versus statesman. That's what you're going to see. And you're going to have a man of character, and you're going to have somebody doing a bunch of kind of comedic hijinks. I think what Trump is going to try and do is have those little viral moments, get those little jabs in. I think what Biden has to do is to stand there long enough to pull this coalition together and lock it in with his character, with his image.
If that happens, the way Van described it, then Trump won't be the president after this. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think Donald Trump will, from the first minute, be on attack, and just whether they ask a question about him, he will turn it and attack. I mean, he will. This will be an hour and a half of Joe Biden just getting beat up, because I think they believe that they have to make this race about Joe Biden, number one, and they believe he won't be able to stand up under the pressure.
But can't Joe Biden attack back? I mean, can't he turn everything and say, where was your leadership?
I'm just telling you, if I would have liked, I'd be prepared for an hour and a half street fight.
Listen, I don't think they want that, but if it becomes a scrum and it's a 90-minute street fight and Biden's still standing at the end of it,
I agree.
Then I think that he has done what he needs to do.
It is one of the things that this president hasn't been able to define Joe Biden for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, like when you're running a campaign against a challenger, you want to make that challenger as much of an issue as you. And he had, and they have not been able to do that. With Biden, they've tried many different avenues, and they haven't been able to make one stick. And now we're 34 days out. It's getting late to do that. This debate is really crucial. If they're going to open up some wounds here that are going to really mean something, this debate is going to have to produce that.
I think that what I've seen is every time people attack Joe Biden, it backfires. Castro went after Biden and disappeared. Kamala went after Biden and had to get out the race, and luckily she's back in. There's something about Joe Biden. He has some Teflon, and so I just don't think that he's going to get up there. Beat up Joe Biden. Beat up one of the most beloved people in the country. Beat up somebody who's buried half his family. Beat up somebody who cares about you. I don't think this is going to go the way that they think it's going to go. If they do what you just said, I think that may actually help Biden more than hurt.
The old Reagan line, there you go again. And you can, Joe Biden can use that against Donald Trump. If he continues to attack him, Joe Biden can smile at him and say, okay, that's a lie, and go on. I mean, I am sure, actually, that they have responses ready-made for him to just flick something back at the president and then turn and take it back to him.
The bottom line is, Republicans believe that Joe Biden has lost more than just a step. And they believe that an hour and a half of a smackdown will become evident. That's what I think.
All you need to say about that is that is a gamble that they're willing to take.
I'm not saying they're going to. You also need more than Republicans. That's the gamble. I think they're in a position that they have to take.
You need more than Republicans. You have to persuade others. And the fact is, if you look at this polling and you ask who has the mental acuity to be president, they're pretty even in this regard. So they've got a lot of ground to make up.
If you're running a debate, and that's your argument, fine. But not voters that you might need to persuade.
I think you do have people who are in the Democratic coalition. Right now,
more came in.
They want to vote. They want to vote against Donald Trump, but they also need some reassurance.
So right now,
it's not just Republicans who need that reassurance.
Kwanzaa Hall
Democrats need that reassurance
is about
too,
600 votes ahead,
strong enough.
and 23% came in.
Do you remember
so
when
we'll see what happens
in that big old mix of all the other
I think
Democrats?
he's going to win this if he's already 600 votes ahead.
Once it got down to just him and Bernie, he was able to hang. And I don't think it's just because Bernie didn't go after him personally. I think it's because I think Joe has a lot to say and wants to say it and will say it tonight.
I mean, don't forget one thing I was thinking of is looking back at the debates in 2016. The old Trump thing, what have I got to lose? 2016, not as much as he has to lose now. There's a lot to lose now, and he's going to be tough.
How do you see the debate starting just in terms of topics? I mean, what's the first question from
Isn't it hard?
Is it COVID? Is it tax?
Isn't it hard for the tax thing not to be?
I think Chris
high up in the field?
as a occasional moderator, there are a couple different ways to go about it.
I think
Taxes would be the obvious one.
Yeah, I think that the courts also those are the two most recent news. Would be the court nomination and taxes. You would probably lead with what's
But
one of those.
sometimes if something's so obvious on the taxes, for instance, you might go COVID with there's the Trump family entering.
Yeah, the only reason I think Wallace doesn't lead with the tax because it's clearly leading with just an antagonistic topic.
Right.
And I think coming out of the box, that just may look. I just think we'll look badly. I think we'll make make Chris look like he's taking sides.
Also, you can make the argument as a moderator, he doesn't need to be the one necessarily introducing it first because Joe Biden's going to mention it no
I
matter
take
what.
something that's a lot more neutral as a starter. That way, you're not setting the table, picking one side's
Which would be
weak
what?
point as opposed to
You
something
know,
else.
on your point, Rick, about whether Biden can execute on what Gloria suggests, which is to hit and pivot. We're going to know very quickly, I think, because of what you said, because the president is going to be attacking him from the start, and we'll know if he has a strategy to deal with that. I think we'll get a sense early in this.
And here's the point again: hour and a half, no breaks, nobody to talk to, not getting any feedback. Whether that strategy is actually working, because he may stick to that strategy whether it's working or not, because that's what he was trained to do. Or he may be sticking to it, and the fact that Trump keeps hammering him, he thinking, well, it's not working. I better change.
Yeah.
But he
All
wasn't
those
born
things are
yesterday.
dynamics that, again, unless you're out there in that stage, you have to live that.
With that
You have
pressure.
no idea what's going on.
And
That's
also,
the same for both
So
men, right?
in debates, if you look at the ones with Clinton, Donald Trump is almost sort of doing a jazz performance. I mean, he's like riffing on
you're right.
what's happening.
Yeah,
holding
he's
the mic.
commenting.
Right.
Yes,
He's
he's like
commenting.
commenting.
He's
It's
actually
annoying.
enjoying it,
It's annoying.
whereas the other person
Yeah.
is clearly not enjoying the
Yeah.
experience.
Well,
and I wonder if
it's
that's
but the point is, it's debilitating,
Yeah.
and that's the point I keep making. It's an overtime, an hour and a half. It wears you
I just want
out.
to say one thing that we haven't talked about is that the families are both there, and these are two these are two men who love their family. They're very, very, committed to family stuff. And so I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you, listen, Trump is proud to be a Trump. Biden is proud to be a Biden. When the family issues hit, and I think they will hit, I think there will be questions raised about Hunter. I think we're going to see how does he handle that. And also, some of this family stuff is now fair game because of this tax stuff. So you might be in a situation now where you have two dads proud of their families, proud of themselves, trying to navigate in public life, that kind of a family feud, which is now a part of national life.
I think that we maybe we're talking about Biden getting hit and then pivoting, but I think Biden's going to hit back a little bit too. I do. I don't know if it's on family per se, Van, but I do think that there are going to be issues that Biden's just going to go right back at him.
We are just minutes away. Let's go back to Jake.
Well, it's obviously a huge night, and we're just minutes away from it. Dana, closing thoughts as we prepare for this big moment?
That this is really
Come
one
in,
of the
Mom.
most important moments that we've seen in politics, certainly since we've all been covering it, definitely for me, because of the reason that we were talking about. We are in a pandemic, and people haven't really been able to see these candidates in the traditional ways that we usually see candidates, especially at this late stage of the game. And this is a high stakes moment no matter what year, but especially right now.
There's First Lady Melania Trump walking in with a mask, not often seen at events where her husband is featured, but all of her family walk in with masks.
Yeah, I can't forget the fact that we are in a country in crisis.
Oh,
I think
the volume.
People are looking for some version of strength, and they're going to see two different kinds
Is that better?
here tonight. One man, President Trump, who leads from his gut, and another man, Joe Biden, who says to the American public, I'm leading with the help of experts and my own experience in government. Those are two very stark choices, and I think it's going to be really on display. But to the extent that these two men have strengths and weaknesses, watching them and covering them over the years, I think this is going to be a pretty well-matched fight, and it's going to be a slugfest.
Except it's very different styles, right? One guy conveys empathy, the other guy conveys, you can call it toughness, you can call it nastiness. I remember in 2012 when Obama had his first debate after 4 years being president, he had been in a bubble, only talking to people who really liked him and supported him. He hadn't done a lot of interviews that year. He was rusty and out of shape, and talk about a bubble. I mean, people talk about the liberal bubble, the MAGA bubble.
In a little bit after
commercial.
the commercial.
Judge Janine and Fox folks, although I guess he does have a Fox moderator. I wonder what effect that will have.
It could. I mean, and it's not just President Obama. George W. Bush didn't do well in his first debate. This is kind of the problem that incumbent presidents have, which is why this president, despite the fact that they have been trying to lower expectations, saying he hasn't really practiced, he has practiced. He has gotten, what kicked out of him by
Could you
his
just
aides
bring
and
in the
advisors
paper
indicate that
towels?
They're right
because they
here.
know that he has been in a bubble because he's president of the United States.
It's not just that he's president of the United States.
No,
It's
you're right.
Paper
And
towels.
it's also
Yeah, I know, it's just
It's
so
also because
dirty.
there are some things that this president doesn't want to talk about, as Caitlin Collins reported tonight. He doesn't like to talk about his money. Will he be prepared to talk about things that aren't getting under his skin in that way? And did he do enough preparation for those things? I do think, though, to concede to the president in some ways, he does take tough questions from the media all the time. He doesn't always answer
From the White House press corps.
from the White House press
Absolutely.
corps.
Let's
Just
turn
turn that
In
down.
interviews, in
once.
long
Not an
interviews.
interview,
Yeah.
from the White House press corps. I think
Absolutely.
that matters.
No, it does matter, and that is something that he does.
Oh,
that
I want to
Obama did
watch
not.
it.
But I guess the point is, he's in a reward system where the most MAGA-friendly stuff gets applauded. Wolf?
You know, the moment that this campaign has been building to for months, President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden taking the stage, going head-to-head in their first presidential debate at this crucial time in America's history. The pandemic, the economy, race in America, the Supreme Court. They will be asked about the very difficult issues Americans are facing right now, the first of 3 presidential debates about to begin.
Who's that?
Chris Wallace from Fox News.
Never saw.
I've seen him past years at debates. So he was with Trump at one of the debates last year. I mean, not last year, 4 years ago, whatever, yeah.
Good evening from the Health Education campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules. For the record, I decided the topics and the questions in each topic. I can assure you, none of the questions has been shared with the commission or the 2 candidates. This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland Clinic, which is serving as the health security advisor to the commission for all 4 debates. As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed the candidates will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, no boos or other interruptions, so we, and more importantly you, can focus on what the candidates have to say. No noise except right now, as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden.
They're going to clap and that's about
Better
it.
be reserved. What is he ugly?
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight: why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time. even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose her. And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they're trying to do a test. There's no way they would give it up. They had Merrick Garland, but the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped. And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
First of all, thank you for doing this. Looking forward to this, Mr. President. The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for a United States senator and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is. Because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that, he ran on that, and he has been governing on it. He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes in the court. And the justice, and I'm not opposed to the justice, and she seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went to the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing is on the court, and if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be helped with more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. They were able to charge a woman more for the same exact procedure a man did. And that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act. And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions, insurance companies are going to love this. And so it's just not appropriate to do this before this election. If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February.
There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Okay, Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
It's elected to the next.
During that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years. And the 100 million people, Joe, the 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care that they're very happy with.
That's simply not true.
Well, you're certainly going to socialists. You're going to socialists.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion. Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number one, he knows that what I propose. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not wipe any. And one of the big debates we had was 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won. We're saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can, they do, they will under my proposal.
Not what you've said,
But
and it's not what your party has said.
That is simply
Your party
a lie.
doesn't say. Your party wants to go socialist
My
medicine
party is
and
me.
socialist
Right
healthcare.
now, I am
And
the
they're going to
Democratic
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not according
Democratic
to
Party
Harris.
is what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of. Now, here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, How many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act?
Joe, you've had 308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
this.
to talk about.
And if you were here, it
Look,
wouldn't be
here's the deal.
200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw. You
Late
didn't
on
want
the
me to
draw.
ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban
Just,
All right,
I
we're
gotta
telling
get
you,
out of
which
this.
was heavily
All right,
infected.
bring
You
the
would have been
computer
months later,
downstairs.
By the way.
I'll bring the computer downstairs.
I'm watching my computer.
Well, I'm recording it on my
Oh, all
YouTube
right.
channel.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep, I do it downstairs then.
I'm not gonna miss a lot. Oh, you're recording it to put it out?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think other people are watching it?
Yes, and a lot of people's YouTube
Okay,
channels tonight.
all right. Well, why don't you do whatever you're doing? I'm glad you could do it downstairs because
Yep.
I'm not getting any.
I know you need a lot of help. You need
Well,
to,
I don't need help. I need quiet. I don't want to hear Donald Trump when I'm trying to
or
get
Joe,
my
and
papers.
both all those
Well, he's
people.
not as bad, but oh my God, I'm trying to do stuff.
All right, Mom. All right, Mom. Okay, Mom. All right, I'm going downstairs to watch the rest of the debate. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Oh, so I have to figure this out. I'm gonna see if I can do this with the TV because it's further away. This one. That did I think right? Make sure. Yep. Okay. All right. I don't know what channel, but I think it's PBS.
With pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump healthcare plan?
Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something. There's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against big pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care. All of the things that we've done, insulin, I give you an example, insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water, you want to know the truth, so cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
This is open discussion.
No,
Let me
but
ask
this
you
is
about,
big-
let me
this
you'll
is
be
big
happy,
stuff.
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare. And
Yes.
the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
I'm sorry, asking the question. And it will end.
Party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option. Number one.
Joe, you
Number
agreed
two.
with Bernie
Number-
Sanders and far left on the manifesto, we call it. That gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you
I'm
saying
not
you
going
didn't
to listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I've beat him the whole hell of a lot. I'm
Not by
here
much.
standing facing you already.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days early. You would have lost every
All
primary
he knows how to do
Super
is
Tuesday. You got
Look,
very
here's
lucky.
the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make
Why?
sure because here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just want to make sure.
You're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class,
I-
not first in your
I-
class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has, you pick
Mr.
the
President.
wrong guy, the wrong night, at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders in the
The
manifesto.
whole idea,
Let him,
there is no manifesto, number
please let
one.
him speak, Mr.
Number two,
You just lost the left.
number two,
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
folks,
Absolutely
folks,
agreed
do you
to.
have any
And under that
idea
plan,
what
you
this
socialized,
clown's
they
doing?
call it
Mr.
do you have any do?
socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well, I'll
President,
tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two, there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give you
Number
better
three.
health care at a much lower price because
by the way, he
Obamacare
doesn't
is
know
no
how. He doesn't know how to do that.
fixed
He
it.
has never offered
Already
a
fixed
plan.
it to an extent.
He has never done a
as you
single
might
thing.
know, but probably doesn't.
gentlemen, you realize that you're both speaking at the same time.
And it's so
Let the president, go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better. And I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guaranteed pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed, they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people. Okay? I said, you got to run it so well. And I just had a meeting with them. They said the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive. Premiums are too high. And it doesn't work. So we do want to get rid of it. Chris, we want to get rid of it.
I understand it, sir, but I have to give you roughly equal time.
Good.
Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising the health care plan since he got elected. He has not, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right, I have one final question for you,
Sure.
Mr. Vice President. If Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take in that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're senators. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
The question is,
radical left.
Would you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so,
list?
Gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
unprecedented.
We have ended,
I'm not going to give a list.
we have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe. 47 years, you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject. So let's try to be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. we in fact have 5% or 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools. It costs a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives. So if we would have listened to you,
you have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000. And one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic. Because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
Just 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job. I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job. Well, you didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster. 14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a point.
There was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was no one. We didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding the phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye. You would have lost far more people. Far more people. And you would have been. And by the way, his own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just the mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist. You don't trust Dr. Fauci. Johnson, Pfizer. By the way,
gentlemen, let me move on to questions about the future because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words. But Dr. Slawi, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call it
you're
left, I don't know what I
the
call
head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slawi.
I disagree with them. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just
He said it's a possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also be after that.
Generally available.
Well, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they get 200,000 a day. They're going to be.
This is the same man.
Okay.
By Easter, this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. The it's like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you can inject some bleach in your
Okay.
and take care of it. This is the
I would
same
have
man.
said sarcastic.
That was it.
I would have said
And
sarcastic.
so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up
We'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine
I
sooner.
want to pick up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying that public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying...
Okay, back to my room we go. My mom's done with the whatchamacallit. She's done with her copying machine stuff. Okay, back to the room we go. So I decided, okay, so now going back to the debates.
And go to Delaware State. He graduated either the lowest or
No, I'm
almost
probably
the
gonna
lowest
end
in the
this.
class. Don't
See
ever
you
use
guys
the word
later.
smart with me. Never use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? And there's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47